All right.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Morning Startup Show on the D&D Sports Network. I'm JJ Pruitt with special guest Bradley Dammer for the week, while my co-host Darryl McCoy is on vacation enjoying his best life. Bradley, how are you this morning?
I'm good, JJ. It's hot.
Oh, yes, it is. I believe yesterday in where I'm at specifically, it was like 98 degrees. So how is it up there right now?
Well, I don't think it got any lower than like 77 or 78 degrees here last night. So I'm sitting there looking at my AC unit and saying, "Come on, just keep it going."
Absolutely. I'm the exact same way with mine. I pray each and every night before I go to bed, like, please just make it one more day.
I mean, yesterday I saw something like in Death Valley in California.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was standing. It was just a picture that they were showing on like one of the news stories, and one of the signs said it was like 131 degrees there yesterday. It's like, I mean, I guess, I mean, not only that are those dangerous temperatures, but I guess if you really wanted to like just bake something, just set it outside and it'll eventually get done.
That is insane. I mean, my question is, I mean, I'm no scientist, but at what point is the number to where it can, you can start melting or stroke out or something like that? 130 is extremely high.
Well, it's not just that, when it's been humid as well. So there is a point where you can, where the humidity combined with the heat makes it very difficult for you to cool down. But just stay hydrated out there, people. When you go outside, grab something to drink and stay hydrated. Stay indoors as much as possible. But I know that's not always possible for some of us. Sometimes we have to be outside a lot. But just try to stay indoors as much as possible, especially on those really, really hot, humid days. And just keep that AC going as much as you can.
Absolutely. I mean, and try to leave your kids inside as well. I mean, I know when I was a kid, a lot of parents would just send their kids outside and say, don't come back in anytime soon until dark.
Listen, I tell you, I loved my parents to death, but mom was one of those sometimes like, no, you need to get some sun. I mean, but this isn't the sun you need right now. Although, as I look outside currently, it looks nice and dreary. But maybe we can take a day where it's a little bit overcast. That might help us out a bit.
Absolutely. So I know that we have a lot to talk about today. So which would you like to start with? Would you like to start with, college sports, professional sports, local sports? What would you like to go with first today?
Well, I think we'll talk a little bit about professional, maybe Olympic type sports.
Okay. Well, I've actually done a little bit of research, in the last 24 hours. And the one thing that stood out to me the most, well, there was a couple of things, but one thing was the kid Cooper Flagg. I believe he's committed to Duke, right?
Yeah, he's He's a dookie.
Yeah. And I had a chance to watch him in the scrimmage game, and he was really, really good against all of those players. Like he wasn't backing down, and he was playing really good defense. He was getting buckets, and anytime that somebody had a really good play on him, he would come right back down the court and give it right back to him.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. He does look like the real deal. Unfortunately, he's going to play for Duke, and that's I mean, look, I don't know. Has there really been anything that's ever been good that's come from Duke? I mean,
sounds to me like there's a lot of hate there. Is there, did something happen to you when you was younger? Whenever, like, did Duke break your heart a couple of times?
I'm just saying that Christian Laettner should not have been in that game.
Oh, Lord.
He stomped right on Aminu Timberlake's chest. Any Kentucky fan who watched that game can tell you he should have just been tossed.
Well, I mean, it looked like a little love tap from where I was watching, but, I'm sure some people in the comments section will have something to say about that.
Yeah, Christian Laettner is very popular in the state of Kentucky.
Yeah.
I'm sure that all the Kentucky fans remember him with all kinds of love and adoration.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's just a long line of Duke players that's really easy to hate.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet every restaurant that he goes to in Lexington, he probably gets all his food paid for, all his drinks paid for,
They probably charge him double.
You know what's crazy about that 1992 game? I believe it was the semifinals, right?
It was a regional finals. It's like an Elite Eight round.
Yeah, the game to get to the Final Four.
Yes.
He shot a perfect game.
Had a fantastic game.
Which is insane. I mean, it's different to be clutch and, come up with 30 points or 25 points, hit a game winner or something like that, but to not miss a single shot for an entire game.
As much as I still don't think he should have been in the game. It's one of the best shooting performances I've ever seen at any level. I mean, I was not a happy young man that day. I honestly went to bed very upset, but I can appreciate how good he was in college. Still think he was a stain on that Olympic team, but it's like the greatest Olympic team you could ever imagine being put together, and then just tap on Laettner at the end. It just kind of feels dirty right there,
Well, if you're looking at the best player, obviously Shaquille O'Neal would have been the man that you would have put on that team, but at that time, he was the best college player. I mean, he was the most accomplished. He had 2 national championships. I believe he went to the Final Four 4 years in a row. I think he went to 3 national championship games, maybe.
The thing is, if you said, it had to be the best college player, absolutely at that time it was Christian Laettner.
Yeah. And what's crazy about him is I still believe he's one of those players that the style of game that he played would translate to today, where it's less physical.
I think, less physical, but he was also, he was a good shooter, he would have worked well in today's game. I still don't think he would have been a star, but I think he would have maybe had a little bit more memorable career in the pros.
Yeah. I believe he
wasn't a terrible pro player either.
No, he played like 12 or 13 years in the league, and didn't he actually go to an All-Star game? I believe he went to one All-Star game. It was maybe 1996, 97. I mean, you could probably check for me.
Yeah, we will find that out.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't make it a point to look up much Christian Laettner.
But we're going to make an exception today to see if I'm
an exception today. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty sure it's illegal for him to come into Kentucky. But let's see. He would have been. I'm looking at his accolades. He was an All-Star in '97. I mean,
97.
So I mean,
to be an All-Star, I mean, you got to be one of the best in the league or one of the most popular. I mean, at that time, I think it was the most votes versus today. Isn't it structured a little differently?
It's structured a little differently. Back then, it was the votes for like the first team, But then I'm pretty sure the rest of the team was selected by the coaches and stuff. The coach.
Yeah.
So he at least had someone who was willing to pull him in to the team. I I don't remember the '97 All-Star game, but I would be willing to bet my hat that he was not a starter on that team.
Right. Let's see. We got a couple of other categories in the professional sports world. Chris Paul. We know that he recently signed a deal to go play with the San Antonio Spurs. He said one of the reasons that he did is he chose to have an opportunity to play versus a chance to chase a championship ring. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm glad he wants to go play. I don't. I mean but the championship ring is kind of what he's missing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's the big glaring thing on his resume. I think we've kind of discussed this a bit before, how much a championship ring means in different
Yeah.
sports. Baseball, okay, you can only do so much. If you're a great hitter, well, you can't control what the pitchers are, and you don't have any effect on that. If you're a great pitcher, you may be on a team where you're the only great pitcher, or there's no hitting help. So, football, it's one of those things that kind of depends on the position in football. Like
Yeah.
you can be a Hall of Fame right tackle,
Mm-hmm.
but I think a quarterback it's a little bit more of a big deal. But like basketball, you're a point guard. There's only 5 starters at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that championship means a lot more for a legacy than just playing time.
Yeah. I would agree with that as well. And I mean, do you mean like when you say you want to be when you want to play, it means you want to start? Like you just don't want to come in off the bench? Is that what that means? Or
I guess that means you're going to be playing more. Or I mean, when if you're valuing playing time over that championship ring, and maybe I mean everyone has their own thing.
uh-huh.
My whole thing is Chris Paul has been a star in the NBA for a very long time. He's had a lot of playing time. It seems like he'd want to get that hardware to go with it.
Yeah.
But you know, but that's his decision, and if he's fine with not chasing a ring, then that's on him.
Which every team that he goes to goes on to be a solid team. I mean, I can't remember the last time he played on a bad team. I mean, even whenever he got signed to the Oklahoma City Thunder a couple of years ago, everybody was asking, like, well, what is he thinking? And didn't he take them to the playoffs as well?
I mean, he's been in a lot of playoff games,
Yeah.
a lot of playoff teams. I mean, he's been to the finals before.
Mm-hmm.
But Chris Paul is just, don't get me wrong, absolutely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Absolutely Hall of Famer. Absolutely a great point guard. But, there's levels to the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a difference between, say, someone like Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm. Which is in a room by himself.
And then, like, we'll go down to, like, if again, fantastic player, Hall of Famer, even has a ring. Tiny Archibald.
Mm-hmm.
Know,
Didn't he play for? He played for Boston, didn't he?
Well, he played for a lot of teams. His last big run was with Boston.
I remember that.
He also, I believe, played for the Kings, and he was a star in his own right. And that's what I'm saying. It's not that Chris Paul is bad, or he's not a star, or that he's not a Hall of Famer. He's all those things. But when you're talking about the elite players in the league, it's kind of below that, I think.
Absolutely. And I think we got one last headline for the professional sports, and it will be Kevin Durant's going to be out of tonight's game versus Canada due to a calf strain. Now, my question to you is, do you think that that's going to, affect them, or do you think that they're deep enough to where they're going to be fine regardless?
I mean, it is an exhibition game. It's kind of a warm up for the Olympics. This is the right time to sit Kevin Durant. And I kind of have a feeling that with those big contracts, he'd be sitting even if it was the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
So it might hurt him a little, but that roster is pretty stacked.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going to miss one guy. Well, they got 11 other all-world players on their team.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't get the job done, then something's wrong. there is no. I mean, obviously losses do happen, but
Mm-hmm.
there's no excuse for a U.S. international basketball team to not be the best team on the court
Yeah.
every game.
Absolutely. And I'm looking in the comments section, and it looks like Janice Roden, I hope that I pronounced that correctly, is watching from Ohio. I really appreciate you tuning in. Again, I'm new to hosting. I'm used to being a co-host along with Bradley Damon as well. So each and every day, I'm determined to try to get better for you guys. For
Absolutely,
sure.
and
Yeah.
we're here to inform and hopefully entertain, hopefully help your day get off to a better start as well. Because, man, I tell you what, like especially right now, we talk about like the weather and all this. Sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
just hard to get going, man. That's why
Yeah.
coffee is valuable. Or
Absolutely. And another thing for us is where we're in a dead period right now with a lot of our sports, it's a little more difficult to, inform you guys since there's really not much going on. But whenever we come back from this commercial break, we actually will have some local sports news and we will have some college football news as well. So whenever we get back from this commercial break, Bradley and I is going to try to inform you guys on, what's currently going on in the local world. We will be back shortly on the D&D Sports Network.
This is where it all started, right here on this farm. We may have grown over the years, but we've never lost sight of what was important to us. We're continuing that tradition today, and we always will be for generations to come.
Bruce Walters Kia. By now you know Kia is a great vehicle, and you know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
High School, continue to follow D&D Sports, best coverage in the mountains.
And we are back on the Morning Startup Show. I'm JJ Pruitt with co-host Bradley Damron. And before we went to commercial break, we mentioned that we had some news on the local world and in the college world as well. So which would you like to share with the audience first?
Let's go with the local world bit right now.
Okay, this will be perfect. So I've had a privilege of doing a lot of research in the last 24 hours, and I'm going to give you guys everything that, Bradley and I have been able to find. It looks like the Kentucky high school football starts back today, officially coming off of a dead period, which, is very exciting for the Kentucky world, I would imagine.
I imagine that those kids are ready to get back at it. I mean, it's kind of wild to think about like football when it's been over 90 degrees outside, but that's how it goes. That's how it starts. Just stay hydrated, guys. Stay hydrated. Be safe out there.
Absolutely. Please be safe. I mean, every once in a while you hear a scary story of, somebody having a stroke or, getting really fatigued. And, I just hope that all of these coaches just take that into consideration. I mean, I understand wanting to push your players and get them as prepared as you possibly can, but.
Well, I think most coaches have evolved their thinking over the years. I mean, there used to be this. I mean, we all know about there used to be a bit of an old school mentality with some like, water for the weak. No, water's to keep you going. And I mean, but I feel like our coaches are safe. I feel like our coaches do a good job of taking care of our players. So. I don't have too many worries about that other than just even if you do everything right, it's still really hot. And it's, but just good luck to everyone. Just be safe out there. And we'll can't wait to see how things shake out in the fall, JJ.
Absolutely. And also on the West Virginia side, however, the football dead period ends on July the 15th. So that's something that, the West Virginia side can, get themselves prepared for as well.
Yeah, I mean, the West Virginia side, I'm telling you, that's going to be an exciting year over here. Like for the people who don't know, my main job at D&D Sports Network is to be I'm the main staff writer, but my personal concentration is West Virginia, and I do go into Kentucky as well. But so I know there's some teams over here who are really excited and geared up, and who look to have some pretty big years.
Yeah. So whenever the dead period typically ends, do you go to the practices and watch them, or are you allowed to watch them, or?
I probably could, but really, I just kind of wait more towards like the scrimmage type stuff too, because a lot of it, like practices, man, a lot of it's like just conditioning and this and that, and just with personally, I have to do a lot of my stuff remotely, so. But yeah, I do a lot of mine remotely, and then I'm sure we might have some. We'll probably have some of games that we broadcast later this year too.
Absolutely, I'm definitely looking forward to that. We got a lot of camps coming up in the area as well for those that are looking forward to sending their children to camps to try to become better players. It looks like the second annual free basketball camp at the Williamson Fieldhouse is this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and it's hosted by Justin Markham Law Office.
Justin's a great partner here with D&D Sports Network. I'm sure it'll be a great camp for those kids to attend.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I haven't had a chance to meet him just yet, but I'm really looking forward to meeting anybody that's a strong supporter of the network. And let's see. It looks like Logan High School, the youth football camp for Logan High School begins July the 12th at 7:00 p.m.
And again, local kids, get out there. Enjoy that camp. Get ready for football this year. Listen, it's a bit of a new age there at Logan High School. A new coach, all that. So we're excited to see what happens at Logan High School.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with this youth camp, it's building that foundation.
And I feel like all of these camps have gotten so much better over the years. I mean, whenever I was younger, I went to some of the basketball camps, and it seemed like a lot of the players they were just there to be there. It's like we're gonna, some of the players were just hoping that they were in charge of the layup lines, like the easy stuff. It seems like now more than ever the players are really going out of their way to try to help develop these kids, and that's something that's really awesome.
I think a lot of these young players, the high school level and stuff, especially they see the value in it. Maybe they grew up and went through camps themselves, and they probably remember the guys who were really working with them versus the guys who were just like, "Okay, junior, here's the ball, go do something."
Yeah.
So I think that's valuable.
And when I was younger, it was so much different. I mean, even with Little League sports, I mean, I hate to say this, but a lot of the coaches would purposely stack their teams with all of the best players just to try to win ball games, and that's not what it's about. Whenever you're a kid, I mean, whenever you're playing midget league ball, it's not about putting the best players out there to try to win a game. It's about trying to develop all of these players, because eventually all of them are going to be playing together. And if you only focus on the best players and you don't take a chance on trying to develop the other players that aren't as fully developed, then, what happens if these good players get injured whenever they get older? These guys that you never developed, those are the ones that are going to have to pick up the slack.
Well, and you also never know, like maybe sometimes some people decide they don't want to pursue a sport any longer. Sometimes people move. I mean, it happens. Sometimes people move. They get someone in their family gets a job, and they're somewhere else. And if you're not developing everyone else, then that's a hole that you're not going to be able to fill. So always keep developing everyone. But I think our area is doing a pretty good job with that. I do agree that I think the camps are better and more organized than they used to be.
Absolutely.
I feel like years ago, there were some really good camps, and there were some camps that were a little more shaky. And I think what ended up happening was a lot of the camps that are a little more shaky started emulating the good camps, and so now everyone's rising tides raises all ships, So
Yeah, you could always tell like which schools had the better camps, because whenever they got into high school, it's like, well, you can tell that they had a good little league system, they had a good middle school system. They really got these kids prepared.
When you see those programs with year after year success in a specific sport, and I mean, like, of course, everyone's going to have like a down year here and there, but you look at it like a trend, and you're like, okay, they're almost always good. They have that strong foundation that they're working at from the bottom up, and that's how you got to do it, bottom up. And I can remember, like, I'm old enough to remember. I'm aging myself, but I'm old enough to remember like some of the little leagues and some of these leagues being formed, and them watching these programs go from like not very good, and then you're looking 10 years later, and they're starting to be pretty good because they had that foundation was there 10 years ago, and it built them up. There's not a lot of quick fixes, like with that. If the program's not been strong and someone comes in, there's not a whole lot of like, we'll just turn it all around unless that foundation is already there.
Yeah, absolutely. And up next is the Chapmanville Regional High School Coaching Football Clinic will be held on July the 25th. And the Jim Conley Youth Football Camp will be on July 26th at the Tigers Barker Stadium.
And, that will be good. Chapmanville, as far as their high school program, could be set to have a pretty good year this year. I can see them having a pretty good year. So, brick by brick, I know Coach Belcher there is working hard each and every day to make that program better.
Yeah, I think that's really cool because whenever I was younger, they were always a softball powerhouse.
They still are.
They were always really good at basketball. But just the thought of them having a good football team, I mean, I think that's awesome. I love seeing all these schools not just be one specific sport. Like you look at some schools, it's like, oh, it's a football school, it's a basketball school. I like seeing schools that are good at everything.
And you see that a lot. I mean, and it is true. There have been some schools where you go like, oh, that school, they're good in this. But still, I think not every school, but I think a lot of schools still have kind of like that identity, right?
Yeah.
Like a football school or basketball school doesn't mean they can't be really good in something else. But that's what people think of when they think of a specific school sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what else we got going on. Okay. The Mingo Central Youth Football Camp will begin on July the 20th at Buck Harless Stadium from 11 to 1 p.m. So Coach Jones, it looks like he's got a football camp coming up.
Absolutely. Coach Jones has been working tirelessly since he got the job last year at Mingo Central to build that program back. The thing is, though, he did have a good foundation there.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had a good foundation. He knew it, but he's trying to make that foundation better. And he's trying to build that power, into a powerhouse that it can be.
Yeah.
When you think about the schools that combined into Mingo Central, of course, Mate 1 and Gilbert both had such a strong football tradition. Mate 1 under Yogi Kinder and Gilbert under Gordon Carter. Williamson had some really good teams at different times as well. And then Birch had a few good teams at certain points. So
yeah, and a lot of people would laugh whenever you say that, but I mean, they really weren't that bad. I mean, I think it may have been my freshman or sophomore year. They had a record that was over 500. I mean, if somebody from Birch is in the comments section, maybe they can tell me. But I'm pretty sure they had one season where they almost made the playoffs, or they made the playoffs and maybe went out in the first round.
They've definitely been in the playoffs, and they've won a playoff game.
Yeah.
I mean, when Doug Ward was the head coach there, they had quite a bit of success. Williamson, years ago actually won football state titles as well.
Yeah.
Many years ago. So, I mean, But I think more recently people would think of the whole Gilbert Mate one thing because, of course, they were.
I know that Mate one was 1993, and I think Gilbert was 95.
Yes, and the thing is that was probably that may have been the best rivalry in Southern West Virginia for years. Like that was a game you always knew it was going to be a lights out, brutal. It's going to be a hard hitting game, and was always fun.
And there was always respect between the two of them as well.
Absolutely, always respect.
Let's see what else we got. We have some youth signups in the area. And speaking of Gilbert, it looks like the Gilbert Pride Midget League football / cheer will be having signups today from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at the Gilbert football field.
And Gilbert keeps that tradition alive.
Yeah.
We just talked about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just so happens they were the very next name that was, on my notes. It looks like the Tug Valley Midget League football / cheer signups is Thursday, July the 11th at Cheech's.
Yeah, Cheech's Pizza. Oh, yeah. the best place to eat in Lenore. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's somewhere I got to stop. Every time me and Darryl, we do a show together, we'll go to do our sales and our advertising, obviously. And then he'll always take me to a restaurant that I've never been to before. And I think that's going to be the next one that we go to, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to go to Cheech's.
Yeah, I love some good pizza. My all-time favorite pizza, though, is still Pizza Time at Belfry. I don't know if it exists anymore. That was my all-time favorite place. It was directly across from the old school.
Yeah, I remember that. I never really went there, but because I didn't live right there by it. But I know a lot of people have great stories about pizza.
Yeah.
But now Cheech's breadsticks. You go to Cheech's, got to get the breadsticks. Just have the
yeah. Yeah, I'll do that for sure, and I'll definitely try one of their pizzas. Did you have any luck getting a hold of one of our guests for today?
Working on it.
Hey, take all the time that you need. I know because we tried to get this individual, Carla Booth, on with us yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now we're still working on it. We'll see if she can do it today. That's fantastic. If not, we'll get her another day.
Absolutely. We have all the time in the world, and we do this show 5 days a week.
But I did want to mention the OPB Swish does have a camp coming up themselves. On July 19th at Crum Middle School. 3 of the players from the Swish, which is Carla Booth, Dina Jarrells, and Courtney. Courtney Gilman Fletcher. Sorry, Courtney Gilman Fletcher. Sometimes words are hard, people. But anyway, they're going to be at Crum on July 19th. They separate earlier in the day for K through 4, and then 5th grade and up. And it's a great opportunity to learn from professional players, some players who've done great things in the world. So, I would encourage everyone to go out and if you have a child who's interested and you're not too far away from Crum, it would probably be a pretty good event to check out. We have more information if you scroll on the D&D Sports Network Facebook page. You can find us there. You can find a lot of information about that camp there.
Absolutely. And, it's so much different learning from a professional versus just somebody that's a local. I mean, locals, they can teach you fundamentals and stuff, but pros can just teach you so much. They can teach you a lot as well. They can teach you a lot more because they played at the highest level.
Yeah. It's when you can learn a lot from local kids, and don't get me wrong, local kids work their tails off and you can learn a ton from them. But I think, when someone who's gone on and played at higher levels, like some of them, even high Division I players, and stuff like that, this is a great opportunity for them.
Oh yeah, that's
like you all spoke with you and Darryl spoke with Dina Gerald's last week.
Yeah.
Dina, Division I basketball player, pretty much a local sports legend at this point, right? And
yeah. And one of the things that I remember the most about that interview is she said something like, "This may be hard to believe, but I may be better at coaching than I was as a player."
And that speaks highly of her because she's a really good player.
Yeah.
Her passion is, I think, in coaching right now.
Yeah.
Although she still has to be passionate about playing too. She's playing with a Swish, so I'm really happy for it. I really, honestly, the Swish is such a great thing for our area, and I hope everyone comes out and supports them because then the next day, is their first game on July the 20th.
And the thing about it is, when it comes to like pros that coach and stuff like that, I mean, some people are meant to inspire kids by playing, and then there's some people out there that can play but are meant to inspire people by teaching.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. And let's see what else we got. I know we got a couple of other camps that we can talk about. It looks like that might have been the last one. Hold on. Yeah, that looks like that's the last one that we have for now. So what we can do is we can go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and then maybe we can talk about, the collegiate sports, like the local football news that we have on the college level as well.
And don't forget, we also have our County of the Day coming up.
Oh man, would you like to do the County of the Day first, or would you like to do college sports? Which one would you want to do?
Let's hit the County of the Day first. We'll do that next.
I'm really excited because I don't think you told me which county we was going to go with. I think you said you was going to let it be a surprise.
It'll be a secret when I come back.
Hey, we'll be back shortly on the morning startup show on the D&D Sports Network.
Home Drug today and let them fill your prescription. Eric Home Drug has been serving the Chapmanville community for over 46 years. They're a proud supporter of the Chapmanville Tigers and all mountain athletes.
All started right here on this farm. We may have grown over the years, but we've never lost sight of what was important to us. We're continuing that tradition today, and we always will be for generations to come.
Walters Kia. By now you know Kia is a great vehicle, and you know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
North High School. Continue to follow D&D Sports, best coverage in the mountains.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, on the Morning Startup Show. I'm JJ Pruitt and my co-host Bradley Dameron, and we want to thank our sponsor Double Quick, for helping us out with this network. And Bradley, before we went to commercial break, you said that we was going to go over the County of the Day, and you still haven't told me which county it is. So which county did you decide to go with today?
We're going over into Kentucky today. We're going with McGoffin County.
McGoffin County, okay. I'm not too familiar with McGoffin County, so you're going to have to educate me today.
Well, McGoffin County, was originally formed in 1860.
Wow,
it's been around a bit, and it took portions of Floyd, Johnson, and Morgan counties, and it was named after Beriah McGoffin, who was a governor of Kentucky from 1859 to 1862.
Had a 3-year run.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you had, so the county seat is Salyersville, which is also the biggest city in McGoffin County. Basically McGoffin County is it's first of all, we had I can't talk about McGoffin County without mentioning first this year the great run and team from McGoffin County that made it to the Sweet 16 in Kentucky. with Aiden Barnett leading the way.
Oh yes, I believe Darryl. Like we had a show probably about a week and a half ago, and I was asking him like, because he would always say, every single year, for the most part, excuse me, it's always the exact same teams that win the 15th region. He named off like 3 or 4. I want to say he named off like Johnson Central. I'm not sure if he named off Lawrence County or not, but there was like 2 or 3 counties specifically that he named off that always win. And I said, well, if you can think of one team that surprised everybody that has never won before, like who would it be? And that's the school that you mentioned, McGoffin County.
Yeah, they won the county they won the region last year, and just was brilliant. So, like, that's one reason why I chose them today as well, because I think it's the first time they'd ever made it to the Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and they made it worth their trip. It was one of those things like, did you know that during the Civil War, McGoffin County was a border county with a moderate Unionist majority?
Really?
But yeah, so they were right there, kind of on the front lines of the Civil War. So I'm sure that helped instill a lot of resolve in the people. But then, in the 19th century, they became a leading supplier in oil and gas production in the area, and with some of the first oil wells in eastern Kentucky being built in the county.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
So really, the Salyersville is the as I mentioned, like the county seat, the main city. There's also a lot of unincorporated areas, but did you know that McGoffin County is known for some famous people as well?
Really? Like who are some of the more notable people that's from McGoffin County?
Well, there was Samuel Wilbur Hager, who was a Kentucky State Treasurer from 1900 to 1904, and a Kentucky State Auditor from 1904 to 1908, and he was the Democratic nominee for governor in 1907.
Oh, really?
So,
I didn't know that.
But probably the most notable people from McGoffin County are Jimmy and Larry Flint, especially Larry Flint. Not always for the most how should we say this, wholesome reasons, but but Larry Flint is a big deal in pop culture, and he passed away within the last few years. I can't remember exactly when Larry Flint passed away, but 2021. So,
rest in peace.
But but there is a movie, out there, People versus Larry Flint, would be might be an interesting assignment, but I don't know, because it does dive into some areas that are maybe not as family friendly.
Well, we try to keep this family friendly, so maybe I can watch it off the record.
Yeah, this may be an off the record assignment that you figure out, but if you look at McGoffin County now, always proud people. They love their Hornets over there, man. They love their Hornets, win or lose, and it was so great to see that community get a lot of success this past year.
Yeah,
and I'm really happy for them over there. But as far as like just the size of it, it just has a total area of 309 square miles, and 308 of that is on land, so not a lot of water over there. But
oh wow. So Salyersville, I have a question. Isn't that the place with the really good, nice outlets? The outlet stores? Is that Salyersville, Kentucky, or am I thinking
I think you're thinking of somewhere else, unless
maybe Simpsonville, Kentucky is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, you might be thinking of Simpsonville. There is an outlet mall, like going towards Louisville. Out there, that's the one that I think of, but because I have family near Louisville, so I'm out that way sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's where I'm thinking of. Because I always heard like you need to go to the outlets in Kentucky, and I knew it started with the letter S, but I wasn't sure if it was Salyers or Simpson.
Well, I'll say this: the D&D Sports Network coverage area is always expanding. We haven't quite expanded towards Louisville yet. We're, I think then we'd have to have a really. We may get there though sometime, JJ. I never thought we'd be in Rowan County either, but here we are. So
yeah,
we're always moving.
But yeah, I'm happy with what we're doing. I love learning about the new counties each and every day. I think that's probably one of the best ideas that has been come up with, and I give Darryl all the credit to that one.
Oh yeah, absolutely, great idea.
Yeah, it definitely keeps me engaged. Are there any more notable people that's from
Not a lot of other notable people, but just like an area like as far as the geography goes, they're kind of adjacent. Like we mentioned, like the counties that made it up initially, but they're adjacent, like Morgan, Johnson, Floyd counties, Knott County, Breathitt County, and Wolfe County. So they're surrounded there, and also just I tend to go. I used to travel through Salyersville quite a bit when I lived in Pikeville, because I lived in Pikeville for a little while, and going towards the Louisville area, like I mentioned that a lot. So I'd always catch the highway there and go.
Yeah.
I used to go through there all the time, and haven't been there in a while, but always a great community. Always treated me well. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's it for today's County of the Day, which is McGoffin County. And I tell you, if you go over there, JJ, I'm sure if you cover a game over there at some point, those people will be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to cover as many places as I possibly can. I mean, like Darryl said, I've been sheltered for most of my life and haven't been out to the communities and stuff. So, getting a chance to go to McGoffin County and all of these other places just to meet all the new people, check out the restaurants. Did you find any notable restaurants in McGoffin County by any chance?
Well, when it comes to McGoffin County, like as far as restaurants go, hold on, I have that here.
Yeah, I'm sure that people would love to, to hear about that.
So there's like there's Meat Haciendas right there off the Mountain Parkway. There's a Farmhouse Diner. I mean, you've got some places over there nearby. But Salyersville is just a place that it's just a lot of good people and stuff.
Yeah. Just in general, absolutely. So, okay, so since that's it for our county of the day, can you tell us a little bit about the guests that we're going to have hopefully at 9:15 today?
Yes. So at 9:15, we are scheduled to have Caden Vance. He's a 3-sport star from West Side. Really a good young quarterback, but is really poised to have a great senior year. And West Side, as a football team, is looking like they're going to have a good year. I'm really excited to see what they do.
Yeah, you said you say he's a 3-sport star athlete?
Yes, he is. He's a really good. Yeah, he plays everything. You know what? You know those kids. You remember when you were in school? But when you're in school, you remember those guys who just played every sport.
Yeah,
there's a ball involved. They're out there, and that he's that type of guy.
Yeah, my good friend, he's not here anymore, but Terrence Pruitt, rest in peace. He played everything, and he was all-state and everything. So yeah, I know a couple of people that fall into that category. It's like they'll dominate at one sport, and then as soon as the sport's over, it's like, well, okay, give me 2 or 3 days, and I'll be ready for practice. And then they just pick up where they left off, and then as soon as that season's over and they go to the next sport, it's like, okay, we'll pick up where we left off, and yeah. That
young man's on the go from beginning to end. Coach Koger's football team to then Coach Evans' basketball team, and then on to the baseball team. He's always just on the go.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder which sport he's the best at. That's something I'm definitely going to ask him.
Yeah, well, we need to ask him that. And we need to ask him about we'll see which one he prefers too. But that'd be really exciting talking to Caden coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said he's from West Side, right?
From West Side, yeah, the Renegades, baby.
Yeah, who were some of their notable rivals?
Wyoming East.
Wyoming East.
Wow. It might be one of the. I mean, Wyoming County there. It might be one of the biggest rivalries in the state. Well, it is one of the biggest rivalries in the state. There's no. It might be. It's It is a huge, especially basketball. Basketball that is just. Sometimes we talk about how rivalries aren't as intense as they used to be. That one's still intense. That one's still pretty intense. Wyoming East West Side game is always fantastic. So I'm sure he'll have some interesting insight on that as well.
Yeah, there's nothing like a good high school rival game.
No, nothing like it. Nothing like it on the planet.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait to hear what he has to say about that. So let's see. Let me see what else we got before we go into a commercial break. Hold on. We've got professional. Okay, we've already covered professional sports, so we've got college football news as well. Would you like to begin covering that? Let's start on that, or
sure. What's going on in college football, JJ?
Okay, so it looks like the University of Kentucky Media Day is scheduled for July the 18th, and I'm going to pull up a picture to show everybody, if everybody can see it. Okay, now last year they were 7-6, and they were 3-5 in the SEC. So, do you think that they're going to, have a better season this year, or are they going to, capitalize on that winning record that they had, and get a couple more wins under their belt, or what do you think is going to happen with them?
I hope it's a better year, but I mean, and I don't think this is anything against Coach Stoops at all. I think it's tough to build up in the SEC. The SEC is just a tough conference, and it got even tougher, with Texas and Oklahoma. I mean, could they? Yes, they could. But there's a lot of blue bloods in that conference in football, and it's Kentucky's had some really successful seasons in football at times. But man, the SEC is just a tough conference to build up in, and I'd love to see them eke out another win or two, but
it's hard to do, like you said.
It's hard to do. Well, I mean, you look at their schedule; it's a murderer's row. I mean,
if they can get any kind of wins, it's an accomplishment in itself.
It is. It really is. Yeah. But listen, Kentucky football though is in better shape now than it was when I was really young. When I was really young, Kentucky football was not very good. So
I think I remember the first year that I had heard that they started to finally turn things around. I think it was the year David played. It was one of the years that David was in Kentucky. They had one season where they had a really big upset. I think it might have been against the University of Tennessee or something like that.
They beat LSU when LSU was ranked number 1.
Oh, wow.
At one point.
And then that catapulted them into the rankings.
They were having a really good season that year, and then they upset LSU, which is, I mean, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd still say that's the biggest win in Kentucky football history.
Yeah, I remember that year too, because when David first transferred to Kentucky, it was like, oh, they're not going to be any good. He went to a terrible school, and then next thing you know, they beat the number 1 team. I'm like, man, you got to give them a chance.
Hey, you can still look it up online. David had that kickoff return in the Music City Bowl.
Yes. Yeah, where he was on one leg.
Yeah.
Literally.
had that little giddy up there on the one leg that he was returning it back. But fantastic highlight. You can still find it. Like I said, go look on YouTube. Look at David Jones kickoff return at Music City Bowl. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, that's really impressive.
Mingo Central fans, look it up if you haven't.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think though that it's tough, but hopefully they'll do better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hoping that they do too. Yeah, I love seeing all the local schools and the local colleges do well, and that's one that I would love to see. It looks like let's see, Coach Stoops. We want to wish him a happy late birthday. Let me pull up his picture. Yeah, happy late birthday, Coach Stoops. I believe his birthday was yesterday.
Yeah. Again, I think he does a great job at Kentucky.
Yeah,
I think
he does a terrific job.
It's just when you're competing in a conference with the Alabamas, the Georgias, the LSUs, and all that of the world. Now the Texas and Oklahomas as well. Tennessee. It's a tough conference to be in, but I do think Coach Stoops does a great job at Kentucky.
Oh, yeah. And also the photo that I accidentally clicked on, this is one that I also wanted to talk about as well. Now, this individual right here is a former Belfry alumni as well. His name is Jordan Scott, and he was selected by the Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame to be a member of the All-Commonwealth team, which is really good.
And that's a tremendous honor for him.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, I love seeing local kids do well, and just to hear that somebody that's that close to home,
absolutely,
is doing something great. I mean, that's awesome.
We always say we support our athletes from the peewees to the pros, and we always want to see them succeed, and it's exciting to see anyone do anything like that, get an honor like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, is that something that you don't see very often? I mean, I'm not as familiar with that specific award. I mean, is that something that, is very, very uncommon to see somebody from here do that?
I mean, Belfry footballs has racked up a lot of accolades over the years. I can't name everything, but they've done. But it's always an honor no matter what. But Belfry football, Pikeville football, Johnson Central football. We have some powerhouses. And we have some powerhouses with guys who go on to play at big time schools. So I know he's not the first, but it's always exciting to see anyone do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really can't see. I can't wait to see. I hope that I'm not sure if that's his last year, if he's a senior or not. But if it's not, then I look forward to seeing what he's going to do next year. And if it is his last year, I look forward to seeing what life after football looks like for him.
Absolutely. Hey, always excited, young man. Keep working. Keep grinding.
Yeah. Keep up the good work. And speaking of, more local college sports, the University of Pikeville, it looks like they are hosting a youth football camp on July the 22nd and July the 23rd from 6 o'clock p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. And it's open to boys and girls K through 8. Train like the Bears, with the Bears, which is really cool.
It's really cool. Anytime young athletes get to train with football players, I know, or like college level football players, and I know we've talked about before. Yes, maybe like UPike or UC or something isn't Division I, but I think the athletes on that level are phenomenal. At UPike, those football players are phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every single one of them was a star on their high school team. So never discount any of those, and I think that would be a great opportunity for young athletes.
Yeah, and it's like we were talking earlier about, once again, learning from a higher level of player whenever you're going to these camps and stuff. You learn a lot. I know you can learn a lot from the high school, but again, those higher levels, I mean, they're more developed. They've seen a lot more, and, they can teach you a whole lot more as well.
Absolutely. What other college football news do we have going on, JJ?
Let's see. Okay, so we can go to let's see. If we discussed Marshall University Media Day, have we discussed that one yet?
We have not discussed that one yet.
Okay, so we're going to go with Marshall Media Day. It looks like on July the 23rd and July the 24th, Marshall will officially be having their Media Day. For those out there that are Marshall, Thundering Herd fans. And, last year they were 6-7 and 3-5 in the Sun Belt Conference. So I'm not sure how much you follow them and stuff, but how do you think that they're going to do this upcoming season?
I think they have an opportunity to really take a step forward and get back towards a bowl, towards bowl eligibility.
Yeah.
I think Coach Huff really does have a strong opportunity there. I know that like his wife Jessica, is also the girls basketball coach at St. Joe, and we're big fans of Coach Huff, of Coach Huff, the girls basketball coach at D&D Sports Network. So we always wish Coach Huff at Marshall and Coach Huff at St. Joe all the success in the world. So
yeah, Marshall, they had a lot of good teams over the years. I mean, especially whenever I was younger, they had that, I think it was a 96 team that won the national championship.
They had two of them.
They had two?
On the 1AA national championship game, the 92 team and the 96 team. The 92 team, they won against Youngstown State. And the final score of that one, I believe, was 31-28. I remember I was at that game.
Yeah.
So Willie Merritt kicked a field goal with just a few seconds left. Probably the first time Willie Merritt's been mentioned on D&D Sports Network, but here we are.
Shout out to you, man.
Well, his brother. It was a really interesting story. Did you know, like his brother, who was the starting kicker, stayed out too late, broke team rules, and was suspended for the national title game. So Willie
and
they suspended their starting kicker, which happened to be it was the younger brother. It was the starting kicker. Willie Merrick was the older brother, but had never kicked in a collegiate game. So in the 1AA, what's now FCS, what people now call FCS, they called it 1AA back then. And so he was in the 1AA national championship game. It's his first game that he's actually getting any playing time in, and he only had one field goal attempt in his entire collegiate career, and that was it for the national title with 50 seconds left.
Hey, can you imagine, like, that's the definition of going out on top. It's like, look, I'm going to do this one time, and one time only, and,
Jim Donnan was the head coach at that time. Michael Payton was the quarterback, and Troy Brown. Do you remember Troy Brown, who played for the Patriots and stuff in the NFL?
Troy Brown. I remember that name, but he played for. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
He was probably there for a couple years. Probably maybe Brady's favorite target.
Oh yeah, didn't he? Wasn't he the one that got sued? No, it was either him or Deion Branch that got Super Bowl MVP. Because those first three Super Bowls they won.
Super Bowl MVP, but he was so versatile that they put him at defensive back at different times. Like Belichick loved him. Bill Parcells originally, I'm pretty sure, when he was the coach of the Patriots, is the one who wanted to get him, pull him in. But Belichick just loved him there, and Troy Brown had a lot of success there. Was a Marshall guy, and they put him back. I remember they put him back on defense in that game, and he, Youngstown State had the Hail Mary there at the end, and Troy Brown intercepted it, which he was their best receiver as well. A little trivia thing. I don't know if you know this. Do you know who was the head coach of Youngstown State in that game?
No.
He went on to have major college success as a coach.
No, I didn't. No.
Jim Tressel.
Really?
Jim Tressel was the coach of Youngstown State.
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
He won national championships there at Youngstown State at that level before he moved on to Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Yeah, I did not know that.
So,
So who are some of the other notable pros that have came out of Marshall? Like I know, obviously Chad Pennington. Let's see, Randy Moss. Let's see, Byron Leftwich.
Doug Chapman had a couple good seasons. He was a running back. Let's see. There's been other guys as well. I do think Troy Brown is actually one of the most notable. But yeah, I mean, Marshall's had some guys here and there. There for a while, it seemed like they were pumping out. They had that run with Pennington and Leftwich at quarterback. That was,
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. You know, Alabama would like to have that run of quarterbacks, but
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Marshall had them for a couple years there in a row. So,
Has there been any players recently that have come out of Marshall to go pro?
I mean, I know there have been. Off the top of my head, I can't remember any of the names. So,
Okay, well, fair enough. Let's see. We've got. Let's see. I think I got another
listen,
one.
if Marshall fans out there, name some guys. Name some
Yeah,
people.
absolutely.
Throw them out there.
Oh, I got
Sometimes
another
the
one.
brain doesn't remember. Remind me.
Absolutely. It looks like West Virginia University will be debuting their new jerseys in Las Vegas this week. Let me see if I got a photo. If you can tell me what you think about them. Maybe people in the comments section could think about or tell us as well. Let's see.
I mean, they look all right. They look like they do look like West Virginia football jerseys, and that's the positive.
Yeah.
I do like the Cold Rush jerseys as well, but I do think for the normal jerseys, these are nice looking jerseys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And let's see. Yeah, and also they went 9-4 last year, and they finished 6-3 in the Big 12 with a bowl win against North Carolina. So how do you think that they're going to do next year? Do you think they're going to be able to capitalize on that level of success? Because 9-4 seems pretty solid. I mean,
they were a lot better last year than I thought they'd be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they'll repeat that. I hope they do.
Yeah.
I'm not always sure. I've been critical of head coach Neil Brown at times at BVU, but there's no Texas, there's no Oklahoma anymore on that schedule.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they can, but this is probably as good an opportunity as they'll have to improve on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like we have somebody that's online that's almost ready for his interview. Do you want me to take a commercial break and bring him in? Are you about ready?
Let's take a quick commercial break and then we'll get to Caden.
All right. Hey, whenever we come back on the D&D Morning Startup Show, we're going to have Caden Vance with us. So stay tuned and we will be back shortly.
Where it all started, right here on this farm. We may have grown over the years, but we've never lost sight of what was important to us. We're continuing that tradition today, and we always will be for generations to come.
Walters Kia. By now, you know Kia is a great vehicle, and you know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
Northwell High School. Continue to follow D&D Sports, best coverage in the mountains.
And we are back on the Morning Startup Show on the D&D Sports Network. I'm JJ Pruitt with my co-host for this week, Bradley Damron. And we got a special guest on the show with us. And apparently this individual is a 3-sport athlete from Westside. His name is Caden Vance. Hey, man, it's nice to finally meet you.
What's up? It's nice to meet y'all too.
Yeah, we didn't get you up too early, did we?
Nah, not too early at all.
So,
You're probably used to it with all the practices and stuff, getting up early, right?
Yeah, most of the time.
Well, so I've heard that you're a 3-sport athlete, which is, very impressive. I've only met a few people that are really good at all three. So out of all 3 sports, which one would you consider your favorite?
That's a hard question. I get that question more than anything, honestly. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I choose really.
Well, fair enough. Okay, let me rephrase that question. Which sport do you think that you would be the best at, the most effective? Like if somebody said, all right, like if somebody come up to you and said, okay, I've never seen you play, but I want to see you at your best. Like which sport would you say is the one that you would want them to see you play the most?
Man, I don't know that one either.
Another.
I honestly, I'd probably say football.
Football? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as far as football goes, I've heard a lot of good things about you. And one of the things that I heard was you had somewhat of a breakout year last year in football where you began to, come into your own as a star quarterback. And from what I've heard, the statistics, you had 30 total touchdowns, with 7 of those being rushing. At what point of the season did you personally feel like you got into a good rhythm?
It was about, it was probably about week 4, I think it was. We made a couple changes to the offense, and things just started rolling offensively from there.
Well, that's terrific. So which team was it that you really had your breakout game?
I think it was the Pikeview game.
Pikeview?
I think so.
Do you remember what your numbers looked like? Do you remember like how many touchdowns you had that game? Or
I think it was like 6 or 7 total touchdowns.
Jesus Christ! In one game?
Yeah.
Man, you was putting in some work, wasn't you?
I had that twice last year, and then I think it was like 230 total passing yards and something other rushing yards. I can't remember.
He just said I've had that twice. That is like a lot of kids probably don't even have that many in the season. You had that in 2 games. That's really impressive, man.
Well, I tell you, when I would talk to Coach Koger last year, it would suddenly, like I remember the first game, Caden. Whenever I got the stats from Coach Koger afterwards, and I saw that, and I just had to double check. Like that's all right? That's correct. So yeah, you kind of blew us all away that day.
Yeah, that is really impressive, man. So, I noticed that you have a combination of passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns. Which one do you like getting the most? Do you like running one in, or do you like, throwing a nasty 40, 50-yard bomb?
I like throwing the ball. I'll run, but
hey, do what you got to do. So, who are some of the players that you modeled your game after whenever you was growing up, or even till this day?
I was always a real big Steelers fan growing up, so I loved watching Big Ben.
Well, the thing about Big Ben was he was a big dude, like 6'5", probably about 270 or something like that.
I ain't quite that big, so I got to be a little bit more athletic. But
well, the thing about him is he could always take a hit.
That's true.
Yeah, and he was tough to tackle. Mm-hmm. So do you? Let me see. Do you have a favorite Super Bowl memory with Big Ben?
Oh, it's the Tampa Bay toe tap for sure.
Oh yeah, that was a really good play, and I was rooting for the other team, but I'm also somebody that can appreciate greatness. So and when you're witnessing history, sometimes you just got to sit back and be like, man, that's there's just some people out there that are clutch. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Caden, last year you guys were 5-5. By all counts, it looks like you as a team, your team is looking to have a great season coming up in football. What can you tell me about how that's been like? I know you've had some success in 7-on-7s. Like I know you guys won the 7-on-7 over at Man a while back. Just tell me how that's been like this summer.
Everybody's excited for it. I think everybody's really excited for it. I mean, we sat down and looked at the schedule, and we think there's not any team that should beat us.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think everybody else around us is with the team, Coach Koger, we're all we're all ready to go out there and make a deep playoff push.
I love that attitude too, man. Like he mentioned that you guys are coming off of a 5-5 record, and a lot of people would be like, man, if we can win maybe 1 or 2 more games, it'll be another successful season. But you're going in with the mentality that we're ready to win now. And
I mean, we only lost 1 or 2 key players from last year, and I think we can fill those spots. And with everybody getting back, I think we're in for a deep run.
Well, that's terrific. So you said you lost 2 key players. What positions were they, just out of curiosity?
That was just off the top of my head. We lost one or 2 linemen. We lost our H-back in Ashton, which was huge, and we lost a couple defensive players. But other than that, they were all the same kids. They just all play both sides of the ball.
Right.
Caden, we'll talk about football a little bit more here for a minute, but like, what would you say that your personal growth as a quarterback? Because I feel like you've gotten better, a lot better since you were young. It's like a couple years ago from today till now. I think you've grown a lot. What do you attribute that growth to?
My teachers, just learning from people, new people coming in. Coach Koger helped a lot. Just camps going to and learning from higher ups, stuff like that.
And I was telling JJ a little bit. He asked, and I already told him the answer, but you can join in too. Caden, what's West Side's rival?
Wyoming East.
No. He didn't even flinch. He took it instantly.
Yeah.
Last year wasn't much of a rivalry game at all.
Not in football, no, definitely not there. You all, what was it, like 60-6 or something like that?
Yeah,
it is something. But basketball. Let's move on to the hardwood a little bit.
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot of I've heard a lot of good things about you on the basketball court.
Like what? Could you describe to us that type of atmosphere when you all play them, when you play Wyoming East? Because I think it's one of the few true rivalry games that we see anymore.
That atmosphere is hard to describe in itself, really. It's just, there's nothing else like it. There's nothing like playing against Wyoming East in one of our gyms when it is at a West Side or Wyoming East High School. It's just when it's packed and you can't hear your teammate talking to you 6 inches away from your ear. It's just different.
What's it like playing them on the road?
I would definitely much prefer playing them at West Side, but it's always the same. Like, there's never more East fans than there is West Side fans. There's never more West Side fans than there is.
Okay, so I got another question to follow up with that. Which is more sweeter, beating them at home or beating them on the road?
Beating them, I don't know.
It's like you get to have your fans watch it, or you can go break some hearts,
Even if you beat them at East, you still have your fans watching. So I'd say probably on the road.
Yeah.
This year, with the new format for the tournament and stuff, I know you all are were, I guess, before they did away with the sectionals. We're in a brutal sectional in basketball with Wyoming East and Bluefield both. What do you think about this new? I guess it's almost like a super regional format, right? Like, it's possible, depending on how it is, you may not even see them in the playoffs.
Hopefully, I like it better. I think it'd be easier to make it out and get to Charleston with this new regional format. Our struggle for the past couple of years just been getting out of the section because it's been so tough.
So in basketball, who is your tough competition? Like, who were some of the teams? Is it Wyoming as well, or are there some other notable teams that you got to go against?
Well, that's as far as our region goes. Wyoming East is in there, Bluefield. But on the schedule, on our regular season schedule, which doesn't have a big impact in basketball, but we play a couple 4A teams, such as I think we go to Martinsburg maybe. Stuff like that.
Well, playing against teams like that is going to make you much better.
Yeah, playing against big teams, good teams in the regular season will only help come playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
No reason to beat up on a bunch of single A teams and then get to playoffs and not make it out. So
I thought you all really in basketball last year, Caden, as the year went on, I felt like you all got better.
yeah, we
I
did.
think where you started and where you finished, you were a better team.
Yeah, well, Coach Thomas, I think we're going into his third year, ain't it? And
Yeah.
towards last year, we really kind of figured it out what we're doing. Like, I think we started coming into an identity of how we play and what helps our games. I think we finally figured that out.
And then let's go into baseball. Man, you had a heck of a baseball season this past year.
Yeah.
So what position do you play in baseball? Like I've learned that you're a walking double-double in basketball. I know that you're a star quarterback. You know, I know the best player on the field on the baseball diamond is usually the shortstop or the pitcher. Are you by any chance one of those two?
Well, I mean, I do pitch, but I mean, I can play anywhere Coach really needs me. Most of the time I play outfield usually.
Oh, okay. Well, you have the outfielders as well. I mean, are you left field, right field, center field? Do you have a favorite
I play
section?
play left field usually.
Oh, okay.
So like with that last year, you know, you hit like I want to say it was like something like 479, something like that last year.
Jesus Christ, that's Ted Williams type number.
I finished the regular season at 500, and I think I finished the postseason at like 479. I think you're right on that.
That is absolutely insane because I've always heard the expression like baseball's the only sport where you can hit 3 out of 10 and still have like a phenomenal career. So for you to be hitting 4 and 500, I mean, that just goes to show how good of a player you are.
I mean, 300's Hall of Fame numbers in the MLB.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you attribute? What's your approach to hitting, Caden? You know, everyone has their own style. What's your approach to it?
My approach is it's all about that coordination, focusing, contact, light better than heavy swing and misses.
Yeah, they say hitting a baseball is like one of the hardest things that you can do. You know, I can't remember the expression, but it's like there's everybody wants to play baseball, but there's only a couple people that can do it.
It's rough.
Yeah. So who are some of the players that you modeled your game after? I know you said you play in the outfield, and obviously you're a phenomenal hitter. So are there any notable MLB players that you've watched growing up?
Well, I never played outfield until my sophomore year.
Uh-huh.
So growing up, even though still growing up, though, I was always a big Trout fan.
Yeah.
But I'd say probably my favorite baseball player to play after is probably Bryce Harper.
Oh, he's another good one. See, when I was growing up, it was, I don't know if you ever watched him, Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like the best swing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. Yeah, I had a chance to watch Shohei for the first time recently. What do you think of, you know, the way he's been playing the last couple of years, like being able to strike out your best player and then hit 40 home runs?
Somebody like that's ridiculous. It's once in a generation, if not multiple generations, that you'll come across somebody like that.
That's more than once a generation. Yeah, it's multiple. I think the last time someone was on pace to do that was Babe Ruth. I mean, because Babe Ruth was on pace to be a Hall of Fame pitcher as well until he finally just decided to focus on hitting, which was probably actually the wise decision. But
with Show not pitching this year, I kind of hope he comes back to pitch next year.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have another good season as well.
Yeah, just phenomenal. What are some of your own personal goals, Caden, coming up this next athletic year in general? Just not just football, but all the sports you play, and how's and then after that, like how's the college recruiting trail looking? Like, are you looking anywhere? Places looking at you? How's all that going?
Well, I mean, all the sports is a common goal. Everybody wants to win. I want to win. I just want to win, preferably state champion. But,
okay, and just out of curiosity, out of the 3 sports that you play, which team do you think is the strongest right now that could make the best run? Or would that be too tough of a question to ask where you got teammates on all of them? Or
I don't know, man. I think it's pretty close, all 3 sports. I think we're right there in all three sports. It would just need, I think, a little attitude change to push us over the edge.
Yeah, and that's your job right there. You're going to be the leader of the team, right? And you're going to make sure that everybody's on top of their game, and you'll make sure that even if you guys have one bad game, you'll be like, look, we're still going to the playoffs unless it's. I know in football, you have to have a certain record to get in, right?
Yeah, well, you don't have to have a certain record, but you have to have a certain number of point system.
Yeah,
it's a points formula, and which last year, they added the losses and stuff. You get points for the loss as well. Before it wasn't like that. And you all have always played you've played some strong teams every year
with the Independence, Nicholas County, teams like that.
Yeah, so I know your schedule's going to be. I haven't looked at all the schedules in depth yet, but I'm sure your schedule is going to be pretty strong again this year.
But it's about the same. I think we dropped Nicholas County, picked up Shady Springs. We dropped Sissonville and picked up Summers County. I think that's the only two changes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So have you been getting any workouts in since the summer began? I know you play all three sports. Is there any sport that you've worked on your game the most, going into this summer? Or
I got workouts in, but it's all pretty much the same, all three sports.
Yeah. But I can imagine how challenging it is. You being a 3-star athlete, it's okay, which one do I want to work on my game on today? Do I want to work on my jump shot? Do I want to work on my passing? Do I want to work on my hitting? I can imagine how challenging it can be sometimes.
There's a lot of time in a day. Why not do all three?
I like his mentality. There
you go.
I like it. And that's exactly why there you go. And that's exactly why he's successful and why he's going to continue to be successful.
And, Caden, I've been asking this of everyone this week. Before you go out, for a game, football, basketball, baseball, do you have any pregame rituals or any music or anything like that?
I'm a music guy. But most guys listen to pumped up music. I like calming myself with music.
Like what kind of music? Give me some examples here.
I'm a big Weekend guy. Just slow me down.
Hey, when I was younger, I always listened to R&B music too, like Usher.
Yeah.
It always got me pumped up. And listening to Disturbed and all of these other rock bands, I couldn't get into it, but slow music always got me going.
My linemen are over there pumping heavy metal music, and I don't understand them.
Right. Some people like upbeat, and some people just like something smooth.
well, think about it like this, Caden. They're every play they're wanting to, they're going to nail someone who's just a foot in front of them.
Yeah, that's. I had another question I was going to ask him. Your favorite sporting movie, man? You can give me football, basketball, and baseball, if you want.
Favorite sports movie.
Yeah, you can give me all three sports if you can name them, and if you can, that's cool too.
Well, football's probably Remember the Titans of Friday Night Lights.
Oh man, Friday Night Lights. Did you ever watch the Friday Night Lights TV show? I
did.
Oh my gosh! Hey, whenever you get some downtime, watch at least 2 episodes, and I guarantee you'll get hooked.
All right, basketball is definitely Coach Carter.
That's another classic. Have you ever seen He Got Game with Denzel Washington?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it's got Denzel Washington and a basketball player named Ray Allen. I don't know if you remember him or not. If you was a Miami Heat fan, he hit that shot to tie the game up in Game 6 of the 2013 finals. It's either 2012 or 2013. But he starred in the movie, and it was really good if you're a Denzel fan.
Baseball, I have to either go. No, it's probably Major Leagues.
That's a good one.
Major League, yeah. That may be it's my favorite sports comedy for sure. Might be my favorite sports movie. Yeah, that one's great. I love that.
Yeah, there's a lot of good baseball movies like 8 Man Out, Moneyball with Brad Pitt, where he was. It was about the guy that was managing the Oakland Athletics, the amount of money that he had to work with was much smaller than the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. So he had to try to get players for cheap and then still be successful, and he was able to, put together a pretty decent team. But that's another really good one if you haven't seen it.
I'll go watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, but Friday Night Lights first, I promise you. It's like 5 seasons. You will binge through it. This is right up your alley.
You can fit it in, with all your workouts and stuff you're doing with your 3 sports.
Yeah.
I'll find some.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, man, like this, I'll tell you, it's an honor to meet you. Like, man, you seem like a really well-spoken kid, and you seem like you got your head on straight. You're very confident. The thing that stood out to me the most is as soon as we mentioned the 5-5 record, you was like, no, I ain't worried about that. We're going to win. And I think that in one of the 3, you're going to make a good run. And I really hope that you get you a state championship ring this year. And, maybe, Bradley and I can come down there and maybe do an interview with you in person.
Maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, we know that you got a lot to do today. You got 3 different sports to practice. You got a couple shows to binge. So we're going to let you get off of here. And, hopefully we'll see you again soon, man.
I appreciate y'all having me.
Yes, sir. And when we come back, we're going to absolutely. When we come back, it's going to be our final segment. And once again, Caden, thanks for coming on the show, man.
See ya. Thank you.
Where it all started, right here on this farm. We may have grown over the years, but we've never lost sight of what was important to us. We're continuing that tradition today, and we always will be for generations to come.
Walters Kia. By now, you know Kia is a great vehicle, and you know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
Pass, bring them to Hall & Jones Funeral Home in Burgee, Kentucky. We let you grieve in peace instead of worrying about a heavy financial burden of burying a loved one. Here at Hall & Jones, we have multiple chapels that can accommodate any size family. We look forward to helping you and your family here at Hall & Jones.
From Oklahoma High School, continue to follow D&D Sports, best coverage in the mountains.
And we are back on the morning startup show on the D&D Sports Network. I'm JJ Pruitt, and I'm with my co-host for the rest of the week until Friday, Bradley Dameron. Man, so what did you think about, our guest that we just had?
Man, I mean, that kid's a winner, man. He's going to I think he's going to have a great year in all 3 sports. And he's not lying when he says that West Side should be really good in all 3. I think I definitely think they have a shot to make a run in all 3 sports. So we'll see how it goes. But he's definitely he's improved a lot, and I know Coach Coger's really works hard with that program over there on the football field. So I'm excited to see what the fall brings for West Side football.
Absolutely. And I want to thank our sponsor, LB&T, for, helping us with, support the network. And I'm like you, man. He's a very well-spoken kid. He's got his head on straight, and I love his winner's mentality. I love the competitiveness that he has. And I think that I'm like you. I think he's going to be really good. But I think that a part of me's like, I think deep down he may know which team's got the best shot. But,
Man, I'll tell you what. I wouldn't answer that either.
Because I wouldn't want to upset any of my teammates, but in my mind, I'd be like, okay, we may have the best shot in baseball,
But I do think they'll have a really good team in all 3.
Absolutely, and it's not so much of the quality of the players. I mean, some sports may just have deeper teams. You know what I mean? Like you may have maybe 2 teams to look out for in football. You may have 4 to look out for in basketball. And you may have maybe 5 or 6 to look out for in baseball.
I do think that this will that the regional format. They were in such a brutal sectional with Wyoming East and Bluefield too. And last year, if I'm being honest with you, West Side was better than some of the teams in their class up in Charleston in basketball. They just
Yeah.
were. I was up there. I saw some teams, and they just were better than some of those teams. So the fact that they they were in that tough of a sectional, it's really one of those things. But they should have a good shot this year. And the new regional format is going to be very interesting, not just for them, but for a lot of schools.
So the new regional format is that just started this year, right?
That's starting this year.
Okay.
So, I'm going to miss the old sectional rivalries, but you think of those old sectionals, they're gone. They're just.
What do you think
there.
the reasoning is for them changing the formats and stuff?
Honestly, it's just basically to help. Their goal is to try to get the best 8 teams they can from Charleston while still having regional representation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's become very important. It's become very clear that's important that they have that regional representation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they were looking at some of these really tough schedules or these really tough sectionals and seeing teams lose that could win the other sectional with ease.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they're kind of just making it okay. So who's the best teams in the region?
Yeah.
I'm still not always sure that I don't necessarily like that there's no regional. I mean, there's a regional co-championship games, but there's not really that one regional champion. I kind of wish there was.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's 2 regional brackets. So, and the game's being hosted at the higher seeded teams floor.
Mm-hmm.
So really, if you end up being one of the top 2 teams in that region, then the playoffs, the tournament runs through your home gym up until Charleston.
So you pretty much get home field advantage.
You do. So it's it'd be one of those things, but like say for example, like West Side, maybe here's where I don't like it. The sectional games with Wyoming East have always been very intense. I've been fortunate to see a couple of those games over the years. And when you make it to where it's possible they may not play each other in the postseason.
Yeah. Which takes the fun away from the fans, is what you're
implying. Right. Like it's very feasible that when it lines out, well, West Side's on this side of that regional bracket, Wyoming East is on this side, and they would even play because there's no actual regional championship game.
That makes sense whenever you put it that way.
So that's the thing that I'm going to miss, but we'll get better teams at Charleston, maybe, hopefully, but I can say that you can definitely tell there are some areas of the state, and it kind of depends on the class that you're in. But you can look at some teams from some areas, and you're like, no one from that area has done anything in years. And but then you'll look at one area, one region, and you're like, oh, there's like some powerhouses here. So,
I mean, that makes perfect sense when you put it that way. I'm really excited to get a chance to cover some of these games this year. I mean, it's been years since I've attended any high school games. So just getting a chance to see that atmosphere and getting a chance for me to not have been able to see some of these games, and the first time I get to see them being a brand new format, I think that's going to be really exciting to see.
It will be very interesting. And we have teams, in our coverage area in every sport who's going to have a legit chance at a state title, whether it's on the West Virginia side or Kentucky side. And that's something that we're going to see as the year goes on. What you'll see, JJ, is that we won't just it won't be one of those things where we just have one team. We have that one team that's making a run. We'll have multiple teams.
That's how it was whenever I was growing up. Like you had one team in football, maybe one team in basketball, and then you'd have a year where nobody, or one team in baseball. When I was growing up, it was Maywood in football, Williamson / Gilbert Birch basketball. I mean, depending on what year it was, and then baseball was Logan for the most part.
Yeah. So I mean, you'll see a lot this year, and we'll we're going to see some banners hung. I'm sure of it. And I tell you what you find out too, and I've been to some other places, some other areas in the country, and seen some other athletes, and our area athletes, our mountain athletes, just as good as one.
Yeah,
as anywhere, and it's really great watching them succeed.
absolutely. And I think that it's more known now than ever because of networks like this. Like, I think that the reason the mountains didn't get as much credit as they should have is just because of the lack of exposure.
Well, I've said this before. I think I said this to you just the other day. I had a Division I coach last year, in Division I basketball coach in Charleston, speak to me and say that he was when we were talking. When I mentioned where I was from, where I was, who I was representing, he said that they use our streams to watch players, and there was one he was there to see in particular. And it just, just knowing that he was watching that, and he's been watching their games, and I know he's not the only one. Like, there are times where we'll look and we'll see like so-and-so's coaching, we're like, oh, that's a coach of wherever. And, we know that name. They're there. Or, that's an assistant from somewhere. Or, you see it a lot.
Yeah.
And so, or they go back and watch it on demand, right?
Yeah, because we got so many places that we're at. Facebook, YouTube, like there's a variety of different places. And, with all the plans that we have coming up in the season, adding more content, doing a variety of different interviews and different styles. I mean, these kids are going to have so many opportunities just to get their names out there and, get that exposure that they rightfully deserve. And, it's just something that's long overdue.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
JJ, I gave you a little bit of homework last night.
Let's see. I've got the statistics pulled up. Let me see if I can find them real quick.
Tell us about Mr. Weatherholt from WVU.
Now I've got two cell phones, so I'm gonna have to try to find which one I had my research on. Okay, so JJ Weatherholt from West Virginia University. Apparently, he's got a shot to be the number one pick in the draft.
Yeah, excellent ball player. I mean, obviously he's an excellent player if he's has that chance to be number one.
That is so awesome to me. Like, anytime I hear of somebody from WVU or from Marshall or from any school like that, I mean, it's so cool to see them do something, because it's always the powerhouse schools, the Ohio States, the Alabamas, the Floridas, the USCs, and places like that end up having the really, really great players that get drafted. So for us to have somebody that's 2.5, 3 hours away to have a shot to be the number one pick, I mean, I'm wondering how many times that's happened. I mean,
I don't know if it's happened from WVU.
Or just in West Virginia in general. I mean, let's see. I think Randy Moss was like a 20-something pick in the draft, 22nd, 23rd, maybe.
He was one of those guys who slid down a bit. By the way, we were talking about draft skills the other day. We were talking about basketball. I could imagine that every team passed up on Randy Moss that day probably ended up regretting it about 2 games into the regular season.
If I had to think of one that regretted it the most, it was probably the Dallas Cowboys.
He made it his personal goal
Mission.
to win Dallas the rest of his career. I mean,
do you remember the Thanksgiving game 1998?
Yes.
He had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns at like 140 some yards or 160 some yards. Like, that is unheard of. I mean, getting 3 touchdowns, obviously phenomenal, but to get 3 touchdowns on 3 catches.
Yeah, well, the one that I remember the most was that like quick little pass out to the left. They caught,
and he did like the little stutter step.
Well, just motored by everyone. He was one of those guys who was moving really fast, but where he had those long strides. If you were watching him just by himself, he didn't look like he was going real fast.
Yeah.
But then you see though everyone else though, then you see him with everyone else and he's just blowing by him.
Just booking
that
it.
size and that speed. But yeah, I mean, like that's one of those. But yeah, Mr. Weatherhold here has a real chance to go number one. And
Yeah, and I've actually got some of his statistics. Okay, so let's see, ABCA second team All Region, the All Big 12 first team. He started 36 games, but he missed 24 games due to injury. He led the Mountaineers with a 331 batting average, a 1.061 was it on base percentage, or is that OBP or OPS? Is that what that stands for?
OPS is a little different, but go ahead though.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to be wrong. I like to know what I'm talking about. He finished the season with 8 home runs, 8 doubles, 30 RBIs, and 30 runs scored.
And
I've got more, but go ahead. I'll let you know.
I mean, and the thing to remember is like the 8 home runs, like there are many fewer games in college baseball, so like that's not a bad home run number at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see. He was walked 30 times against just 17 strikeouts. That sounds like some Barry Bond types.
I mean, a lot of people don't want to pitch to him. I mean, I don't blame him. I would want to walk him too. I'd rather walk. Well, like we talked about when Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'd rather walk him too than
I still can't get over the time that he got walked with the bases loaded. I mean, it worked because the other team ended up winning the game, but it's like because realistically, okay, he gets a hit and let's say it's a single, then they score. And then, the game is, but even then it's like, you don't have any faith in your pitchers at all.
I mean, Bonds was something else though, man. Bonds was something else, but go ahead with Mr. Weatherhold here, though.
Yeah, I've got more statistics. Absolutely. Okay, 6 for 6 in stolen bases, which is very impressive. Let's see. He had 4 hits, 4 home runs scored, and 3 stolen bases in series at Stetson before getting hurt. I believe that's what it says. Okay. He returned against Kansas on April the 5th and went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and the go-ahead double in the 10th inning. So he came back strong. Okay. He hit his first home run of the season in the win over UCF April the 13th. He went 2 for 3 with a home run, 2 RBIs, 3 runs scored, and 2 walks in a win over UCF. So, like, every game that it's showing, like, he's consistently 3 for 4, 2 for 3. He's just getting hit after hit after hit. And again, to everybody watching, what makes this kid so special is he's got a chance to be the number 1 pick.
Number 1 pick, and and that's the thing. If for some reason he's not the number 1 pick, he's not going to be on the board long.
No, absolutely not.
So this is a guy that you could possibly build. Well, you could build a team around in the major leagues. So
yeah, absolutely. He's a terrific all-around player.
Yeah, and WVU is going to miss him a lot. WVU had a very good team this past year, and was close to making it to the College World Series. Of course, Kentucky did make it to the College World Series. So,
so is West Virginia usually known for being good in baseball, or I've always known them to be like a basketball/football school.
Baseball is more of been more of a recent thing, but Coach Mazey's leaving now. He's retiring, the coach there. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. But they've been pretty consistently good the last for several years now. This was the first year they advanced past the regional round and into the super regionals. And then they faced a very good North Carolina team, and unfortunately for them, that didn't work out. But they have a chance to keep that program going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really hope that they can do it. You know, like I said, I love seeing the local schools, you know, have success and stuff. But let's see, we are at the 9-minute mark. So if you want, we can take one more commercial break and come back with the very final segment.
Absolutely. Sounds great.
Yes, sir. Well, okay, when we come back, we're going to, you know, do the final segment and on the D&D Sports Show. And hopefully maybe we can give you some of the plans that we have for tomorrow, some of the things we're going to talk about. And, you know, guys, stay tuned when we come back.
All started right here on this farm. We may have grown over the years, but we've never lost sight of what was important to us. We're continuing that tradition today, and we always will be for generations to come.
Bruce Walters Kia. By now you know Kia is a great vehicle, and you know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
Pass, bring them to Hall & Jones Funeral Home in Virgie, Kentucky. We let you grieve in peace instead of worrying about a heavy financial burden of burying a loved one. Here at Hall & Jones, we have multiple chapels that can accommodate any size family. We look forward to helping you and your family here at Hall & Jones. Drug today and let them fill your prescription. Eric Holman Drug has been serving the Chapmanville community for over 46 years. They're a proud supporter of the Chapmanville Tigers and all mountain athletes.
And we are back on the morning startup show on the D&D Sports Network. I'm JJ Pruitt with my special guest host, Bradley Dameron. We want to thank Walters. I believe he was telling me earlier, I'm still learning the sponsors, so I apologize. Walters, Toyota Walters.
Walters Automotive Group.
Walters Automotive Group. Yeah, I want to thank you guys for supporting us. And again, I'll get all the names right. I'm still new to learning all the sponsors. So this is our final segment. And again, it's been another great show. I've enjoyed, every minute I've had a chance to talk to you and, all of the people that we've interviewed. So what are some of the things that you like to focus on tomorrow whenever we come back on the show?
Tomorrow, we have an interview scheduled with Boyd County softball star JC Gold.
Mm-hmm.
JC is a fantastic young player, in the Kentucky state tournament this past year. In the opening round, she hit a homer that basically ended up winning the game.
She had a game-winning home run in the Kentucky State tournament
in the top of the 7th inning. But she also, but listen, JC hits homers left and right. She's absolutely one of the best young talents in our area, maybe the state of Kentucky. It's going to be really exciting to speak to her tomorrow, and I'm sure she's going to be geared up for another great season at Boyd County.
So what grade is she in again?
JC, I believe, will be a junior next year.
So she's still got, she's got 2 years left to play, which is
awesome.
Let me
double check that very quickly, but
if anybody in the comments section knows, please feel free to let us know.
But I believe that she is a junior next year. But she is like I said, a phenomenal young talent. And I'm excited to have her on and get her ideas on it. I'm sure she'll have some great things to say about the team this past year and then coming up next year. I mean, Boyd County was really strong, and they should be strong again.
Yeah. So, how deep did you say they made it in the state tournament? Was that a game? Was that a state championship game? Was that like one of the early rounds, or?
It was the opening round, and then they had a heartbreaking loss in the second round.
Wow!
Had a tough loss in the second round, but But Boyd County's very good, and they're going to continue to be good. JC was a sophomore this past year, so she'll be a junior. So
so she'll be ready for next year. Like she went ahead and sustained her loss early in her career, and now she can learn from it, and she can come back even stronger and make those preparations to make sure that she gives herself the best chance for that not to happen again.
Well, just to give you an idea, she basically, she batted 412 last year with 10 homers.
Wow.
So,
I can't wait to talk to her. That's insane. Be able to another power. I've never hit a home run in my life. Baseball, softball, it's T-ball. I could never do it.
Yeah, this girl's a player, man. She's a player. But we'll be really excited to speak to JC tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you going to tell me what county you're covering tomorrow, or are you just going to leave me in the dark again?
I'm going to leave you in the dark again, but we'll.
Fair enough.
It might have something. It might have a little bit. I'll give you a hint today, though.
What state are we in? What state are we in?
We're in West Virginia, and it might it might help you with it might have had something to do with our guest today. So
okay, fair enough. Hey, I'll work with that, and I'm very excited. Again, that's one of my favorite parts about this show is I get to learn about these new places each and every day.
Absolutely. But
yeah, I'm wondering if our main host, Mr. McCoy, I think he said he was going to try to come on tomorrow. He said he wouldn't be able to make it Wednesday, but I think that he said he may be able to make it on Thursday, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'll have to give him a call and see.
Well, we'll be live at the D&D studios tomorrow. So
I always love doing it at the studio. I mean, I think doing the show in person is more entertaining for the fans and stuff versus just watching two people on FaceTime for 2 hours. I mean, I know they're entertained, but at the same time, doing it in person just seems a little different.
But we always want to thank our fine sponsors for us each day for this show. They're the ones. Remember, guys, when you see one of those logos up there, they're the ones that are supporting your kids. They're the ones who's putting in the money.
Absolutely. And right before the show ends, I would love to shout out a couple of them. Obviously, Walters Automotive. Let's see, we got. Hold on. The Tug Valley Wellness Clinic, you guys have been a phenomenal help to us as well. Obviously, LB&T is another great sponsor. We greatly appreciate them. Crace Solid Rock Development. That's one that I'm still learning about. I really appreciate, you guys. We've got Hall & Jones Funeral Home, obviously, with the commercial. Let's see, we got Genmar Services as well. And we've got one that I can't see that well.
That is the Kentucky Mountain Health Alliance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys as well.
And then Justin Markham
Law Office. We appreciate, all the support that you guys give.
That's Derek. That's Derek Bowling at Kentucky Farm Bureau.
Yeah, I believe that's the man that Darryl and I interviewed recently. I believe he was one of the guys that we interviewed. I think so. He was, a really well-spoken individual. I think he was in. We interviewed him. He was on vacation.
Very proud supporter of Perry County athletics.
Yeah. That's the man that we interviewed. I believe he has 2 kids, and one of them is real big into gymnastics. If it's the same individual, and he's a really intelligent person, and he knows his sports as well.
Yeah. So like people over like in Hazard and stuff, and
absolutely.
That man, he's really supporting your kids.
Yeah, he's all about the kids, and that's terrific. And then obviously we got Double Quick. We greatly appreciate you guys. And our last one that we have,
Minga Beef Jerky.
Minga Beef Jerky. I didn't want to mess up the pronunciation, so I'm glad that you was able to take care of that for us. But it looks like it's officially 10 o'clock, and, that's the end of our show for today. But, we're going to be back tomorrow at the exact same time. And, again, for everybody out there that tuned in, we greatly appreciate it. And, we hope that each and every day we can, come to you with a good show that's very informative and also entertaining as well. And, you know, until next time, you know, so long as in the words of Darryl, and, you know, hope you have a good day.